Hello, everyone. My name is Victor. I am the Occult Technician, and this is Mind War, Season 3, Episode 12. Mind War is sponsored by Victory Work Apparel. Use promo code Mind War. Join the Mind War today. Enlist at patreon.com/Mind War. Now back to the show. Welcome back to Mind War, folks. I appreciate you being here. We have a lot to cover today, so let's get started. Folks, we made it. Mind War Season 3, the season finale. During Season 3, we read through Journeys Out of the Body by Dr. Robert Monroe. In this book, we got to know Dr. Monroe a little bit about his past, his time in the military, his time working for radio stations, and his career as an audio engineer. And then he starts to tell us that as a young husband and father and a successful businessman, he started to have these strange experiences occur when he was taking naps in the afternoon. It started with this vibrational feeling, and then a feeling of his spirit body lifting out. He was having an out-of-body experience. And so this was occurring back in the 50s. So remember, back then, this type of stuff really wasn't something that was accepted or that you would want to talk about. So Dr. Monroe, in the book, shared his trepidation, was sharing it with friends, family, and colleagues. But over time, he experimented more and more and started to understand what was happening, started to get a grasp of what was really going on. And he was actually starting to be able to control how he could separate from his body and where he would go and visit. And so throughout the book, we are given access to his notes during that time, during the late 50s and 60s. As he was doing these experiments, visiting friends and family during his out-of-body travels, and then communicating with them what he had seen and what he had experienced while he was doing this, right? And much of the book reads almost like Dr. Monroe's dream journal. We hear about these kind of strange scenarios and worlds and lands that he would visit. And he teaches us about the different levels of sleep. And one of the first ones, again, is that sleep dojo, where we are in focus 10. Our body is asleep, but our mind is wide awake, and we are looking into the darkness, and we're able to learn new tools and new skills there in the sleep dojo. And then locale 1 is when you have that out-of-body experience and you are now traveling, doing astral travel or astral projection in our real world, the here and now. He taught us about locale 2, which is traveling into the dream state. So it's very familiar to our real life, but it's also kind of mixed with the dream where things seem a little bit odd and we actually have a little more control in that area. And then locale 3, the abyss, that space beyond our universe, that darkness where we're able to go and really contemplate things in a very deep way and then travel back to the other locales from there. Towards the end of the book, Dr. Monroe talks about some of the scientific classifications that he came up with, because again, he took a very scientific approach to this phenomenon, to these experiences that he was having. And throughout the book, he also talks about some of the theories that he believes are kind of the spiritual things that may be going on with this, and how, when you have these experiences, they may contradict some of your other belief systems, right? Your religious belief systems or societal and cultural values that are out there. It may go against those things. So we have to be very brave and very strong, just like he was when he had these experiences and shared them with others. That's the most important thing. So again, that was Journeys Out of the Body by Dr. Robert Monroe. That was the first in a 3-book series that we covered here in Mind War Season 3. So folks, in the first half of this video, I would like to go through and do a quick review of the tapes that we have listened to thus far. So we can start with Wave 1 Discovery, Tape 1 Orientation. And in Tape 1, Dr. Monroe says this is the first step along your path to a gateway beyond which is discovery, your own discovery of reality, of truth, of who and what you are. It's a very lofty goal, but some of those deep, burdening questions that you have about who you really are and what life is really all about, you're going to find some answers as we work through these tapes. You're going to find your answers. That's the beauty of this work. He says here, you are going to learn to use waves of your own natural energy. You will learn to focus these and direct these energy waves that even now are a natural part of you, waves of vibrational energy. And it's very interesting that he can break down everything that's going on through the Gateway Experience tapes through waves of energy. And really it starts with the sound that we hear when we listen to the tapes. And then he can extrapolate that down into our physical body and help us understand how our body is actually made up. And then it really starts to explain our spirit body, our vibrational spirit body, what it's made out of and how it works. He goes on to say here, this exercise and others to come will help you to learn to create and use consciously your own mental and physical well-being, such natural energy. You will learn to perceive it, tune it, focus it, to direct it whenever and wherever you desire. You will be able to control it with your conscious mind rather than being controlled by its non-conscious activity. You can do this calmly without fear because it is only another part of you, because it is your own life energy belonging to you and no one else. Many wonderful things can happen when you do control your own vibrational energy. And it's very interesting because one of the goals of the tapes here is to consciously recognize your own energy, your vibrational energy, and then control that energy. And we talked about that in the last episode about when you are spending too much time scrolling on the phone, your attention is your energy. And that attention that you're putting into the phone, that you're putting into the app is being converted. It's an energy conversion device. It's being converted into money for the manufacturers of the app, right? So they are stealing our time. They are stealing our energy where we could be out using our energy for better things, but instead it's being stolen by the phone. So again, we want to consciously be able to recognize that when these things are happening and be able to control our own vibrational energy. So the first thing that we learn in the orientation tape is the first steps of the preparatory process. These are the very basic fundamentals that we have to go through at the beginning of each tape in order to get our mind and body into a mindset and a body set that is ready to actually have these experiences. And the first thing that we start with is our personal energy conversion box. So remember, we're going to visualize a box, and in that box, The first thing that we're going to do is place our worries, our concerns, our stresses, all of the things that are going to distract us as we go through the tapes. And then what we do is we close the heavy lid. We're using our imagination. And then we turn our backs. And the power of turning your back on your worries and your concerns and your issues, even just for a short amount of time, it's very powerful. We turn our backs on them and we walk away. He leads us through a mantra here that says, I am more than my physical body because I am more than physical matter. That's a very famous quote from the Gateway Experience. We hear that quite often, and it's very true. Through these tapes, you're going to have experiences where you start to truly understand that we are more than our physical body. There's something more to us, and it feels really good once you actually experience that, instead of just talking about it and thinking about it, but once you feel it for the very first time, it is absolutely amazing. The next step along our preparatory process is resonant tuning. Again, this is that breathing technique where you kind of visualize yourself being in a cave, and there are other people in the cave with you, and they are humming along. And you are going to hum along with them. You're going to actually be making real sound, vibrational sound, humming, from your vocal cords. And this is very important because what it's going to do is it's a breathing technique, but also the actual process of making the vocalization, it does vibrate through your body, and it helps create that kind of connection between your breathing and your physical body. So here in tape 1, again, orientation, the next step he teaches us is focus 3. Focus 3 is the starting point of the Gateway Experience. And it says he's going to count from 1 to 3, and when he reaches 3, your mind and brain will be much more in unison, much more coherent, and much more complete. He calls it the synchronized brain and mind. So focus 3 is the first step in the hypnosis process. This focus, whether it's focus 3, focus 10, and beyond, this is hypnosis. That's what Dr. Monroe is doing. In these early tapes, he is walking us through the hypnosis process. He is hypnotizing us. But in later tapes, he says, listen, you know the process, go through the preparatory process, and then we hypnotize ourselves. We ourselves are the ones doing the counting in our minds. And at the end of that tape, he counts to the number 1. He says, wake up, open your eyes. Tape 2, intro to focus 10. So this is that next level of hypnosis. He says, this is your exercise to achieve focus 10, the 10 state, where your mind remains awake and alert and your physical body is deeply asleep. That is the best way to describe that very first step of hypnosis. Your body completely asleep, very relaxed, pain-free, but your mind is wide awake. For those of you who've never felt this before, it is very, very strange, and it's very comfortable, and it feels amazing, and it's just a whole different state of being. And for somebody in my age, middle-aged guy like myself, it was very, very strange to be, totally sober. This wasn't brought on by drugs or something like that. And to be able to have this physical experience, it was very shocking, but in a good way. It really opened my eyes to that there is something more, again, more than our physical body. So he says, you will move now into focus 10, the 10 state, where your mind is bright and awake and your body is calmly and deeply and comfortably asleep. And you reach focus 10, we will use the 10-point system of total relaxation. So what he does here, and this is such a great tape. This is a good one to go back to over and over again if you're having trouble actually kind of relaxing in these early stages, right? Because what he does here is he walks us through each facial feature. He says, number one, your eyes are going to, be relaxed and fall asleep. And then your cheeks and your lips and your forehead, each piece of your face, he slowly walks it deeper and deeper into sleep. And it feels really amazing as your face really starts to relax all the muscle tension that is usually in our face, right? And then he says, now let this relaxation of your head, muscles and nerves in your head, let it sink inward, okay? So that relaxation in our head, we're going to let it sink in. Let the relaxation of your head flow into your brain. So now all that relaxation is in our mind. We're letting it swirl around, right? He says, now that your brain feels and understands this relaxation, as I count to 10, let it flow from the brain. Let it flow from the brain into every part of your physical body. And so now what he does is, as he's counting, that relaxation that he walked us through with our face, we're storing in our brain. It's going deeper and deeper inward. And now we're releasing that relaxation into all parts of our body. And he starts with our feet. And he, again, as he's counting, he walks us through. Your feet are falling asleep, and then your legs are falling asleep. And in your mind, as you visualize this, you can see your physical body, and then your feet start to disappear and fade away. And then your legs disappear and fade away. As they're falling asleep, right? As they are receiving that chemical that temporarily paralyzes us while we sleep, right? You feel your different body parts starting to fall asleep and kind of fade away. It's very relaxing. It feels wonderful. And so in this tape, in tape 2, he starts to teach us what I like to call conscious tools. So tools that we can use in the waking state, right? And he says here, at any time from this moment forward, when you desire to remain physically and mentally wide awake and alert, all you need to do is touch the fingers of the right hand onto the back of your neck and repeat the number 1 in your mind. When you do this, you will remain fully wide awake and alert, both physically and mentally. And what we're doing here is, again, that number 1, that is that trigger for us to wake up. So if you are going about your day and you're feeling really tired, one of the things that we're going to do, you just take your right hand, touch the back of your head. This is, again, just kind of a distraction technique. We think of that number 1, very mentally wide awake, and it's just, again, to distract us from how tired we really are. Take a few deep breaths and then kind of recenter, right? The next tool, he says, here's a simple way to remember any part of your life experience. Whenever you desire in your conscious physical waking state, you will remember that which you desire to remember. When you close your physical eyes and touch softly the fingers of your right hand to the center of your forehead. Now again, if you want to remember something in your life, something that maybe you're looking for that you've lost, we're going to take our right hand, touch it to our forehead, just take that deep breath, think of the thing that we want to remember, and we will remember it. And again, we've talked about this before. It's basically a distraction technique. If you're looking for something, if you're trying to think of something and remember something, but you just can't, it can often be very frustrating. And so you're going to be in the cycle of frustration. Oh, why can't I find that? Why can't I remember it? We actually are going to get caught up more in the frustration than we are actually looking for the thing that we're trying to find or remember, right? And so simply touching your forehead, taking a minute to take a deep breath, it's going to distract us from that anger and frustration and allow us to think clearly. And then again, at the end of that tape, it says, wake up, open your eyes. Okay, so in tape 3, Advanced Focus 10, Dr. Monroe says, this is your exercise to enhance and improve your state of Focus 10 so that you can use and understand more fully your points of discovery in the gateway experience. And he says, now you will create your resonant energy balloon, a moving field of energy that is yours, a ball of energy all around you. where you float inside, a balloon of energy that, if you desire, can hold your radiation in. It protects you from external outside energy from entering you as well. So again, this is the next step in our preparatory process. After your resonant tuning, we're going to be doing our resonant energy balloon. We're going to be breathing in through our nose. And as we do, we're visualizing white, clean energy coming up through our feet. As it does, we're visualizing it spiraling up through our body, renewing our chakras with beautiful, white, clean, cleansing energy, healing energy. We're going to hold that energy in our mind for a moment. Again, just taking a deep breath, holding it for a minute. A lot of what we're doing here is breath work, okay? And then as we exhale, we're going to exhale out of our mouths. We're going to exhale out all that stale, dirty, used energy, all those issues and emotions and troubles that are deep inside. We're going to exhale that out through our mouths. And we're going to visualize that clean white energy flowing from the top of our head like a fountain and pouring down all around us, right? And as we breathe in again, we're going to kind of recycle that energy, and we're going to breathe it back in through our feet, swirl it up into our head, and then again, as it exits out the top of our head. And then we're going to focus on it swirling down again, just like it swirled up through our body. Now it's going to be spinning as it flows down around us. And it's going to create this resonant energy balloon. And this is, again, a tool, a method, an imagination thought process where we are creating this energy around us, this protective barrier that not only protects us from energy coming from the outside, but we can store our energy inside of the balloon and recharge ourselves and rebuild ourselves. So again, that was the next step of the preparatory process. And he says here, again, another one of these conscious tools. He says at any point from this moment on, whenever you desire to create around you, again, your protective resonant energy balloon, just as you have right now, all you need to do is first inhale deeply. And then two, as you hold your breath, think of a circle with the number 10 inside. A bright moving circle with the number 10 inside of it. And then three, as you exhale, blow the circle out with your breath. When you do this, your resonant energy balloon will form immediately around you. So again, during your conscious waking state, I often do this when I'm going to leave the house, right? I stop for a moment. I take a deep breath. I visualize that circle with the number 10. Again, number 10, that focus 10. So we're conscious and wide awake at this point, but we're still going to focus on that number 10. We're going to inhale, hold it in our mind, and we exhale. We're going to visualize that energy balloon being created around us. And again, it's just a visualization technique. It's an imagination technique. And it gives us just a little bit of extra confidence as we walk out into the world, right? He says here, another conscious tool. He says, at any point from this moment on, whenever you desire to be in focus 10, with your mind awake and alert and your physical body deeply and comfortably asleep, all you need to do is inhale deeply, say in your mind or think the number 10, exhale, and you will be in focus 10. Okay, so again, if you're laying down to go to sleep, or if you're just going to take a nap, right, and you want to get into focus 10 very quickly, you just take that deep breath. You think of the number 10 in your mind, and as you exhale, you are going to get into focus 10. You can even do this in your conscious waking life. And in a lot of ways, it kind of feels like if you're doing a chore and you start drifting off and thinking about something other than what you're doing, that's kind of what it is. You're going to take a moment to really, connect inward but you're going to kind of disconnect from the outside world and take those deep breaths really just to turn inward and recharge. And then he says to return from focus 10 to full waking conscious, mentally and physically wide awake, all you need to do is say in your mind or think the number 1 and move the physical fingers on your right hand. So again, that's a very powerful tool. When you're waking up, even if you're just waking up from a nap or something, you're having a hard time getting up, think of the number 1 again. That the number 1, that's that trigger. That's that alarm for us to wake up, right? And physically moving your hand is really going to help you get moving and really be awake, right? It can be very difficult when you're laying there in bed and you wake up and you just don't want to get out of bed. Sometimes that very first little movement helps, right? And then he finishes that tape with wake up, open your eyes. Okay, tape 4, release, recharge. This is your daily exercise to clean, balance, and revitalize your entire system. He says, now you will perform the process of energy conversion. Move to your energy conversion box, okay? So the energy conversion box that we create at the beginning of each tape. Tape 1-4, release, recharge, is very powerful. I like to call this the fear tape because we're going to be addressing the fears and the issues that we put in our energy conversion box. He says, raise the heavy lid. Now perceive inside the box. Perceive the radiation of fear, the first radiation of fear you encounter. So you're going to open that heavy lid and you're going to look inside. And you are going to not only see the issues and concerns and worries that you put in the box, but you're going to see ones that you may not have consciously been, actively thinking about as well. Issues that may be deep down inside that we kind of suppress and try not to think about, they're going to be there in that resonant energy box or in the energy conversion box. And when we first perceive them, they may radiate with fear, okay? He says, now pull the fear out. Pull the fear out of the box and move it away from you. Let it flow upward and away like a bubble floating upward in water. Again, when we take our fear, when we look at it right in its eyes and see it for what it truly is, and then we allow it to just float away, we're visually seeing it float upwards, almost like water, and the bubbles are popping on the surface above us, right? It's very powerful. It's just like turning our backs on our worries. Again, we're not just going to forget about them. They will be dealt with, but we have to take the power away from them in order to be able to focus and continue on with the purpose of the tape, right? He says, now free of fear and emotion, perceive the memory, the event that was hidden by the fear and emotion. Calmly and serenely retrieve this clean energy and pull it again into you. So now now that the fear has dissipated, now we're going to look at what truly happened to cause that fear in the first place. And we're going to see it for what it truly is. We're going to recognize it, and it's going to be cleansed of the fear. So now we don't have to be afraid of it. And we can take that clean energy with this issue and we can absorb it and understand that we can conquer whatever the issue is. We may not have the answer today, but we will find them as we work through these tapes. And so at the end of that tape, he says, you know how to return to your physical waking consciousness? Do it now. So in tape 5, explore sleep. Okay, so this is where things really start to change. This is the first time that we kind of move beyond the sleep dojo. Something very interesting happens in this tape. He says, this is an exercise for your exploration of sleep. You should be lying down and comfortable. Begin your preparation process. First, utilize your energy conversion box. Second, your resonant tuning. Third, build your resonant energy balloon. And fourth, state your affirmation beginning, I am more than my physical body. And fifth, Move on to focus 10 and I will join you there. Begin now. So he just gives us a quick breakdown of what the preparatory process is and says, go ahead and do it, and I'll meet you when you are in focus 10. And he says, now that you are in focus 10, you will experience and remember the process you used during the total sleep state. The process to help you remember who you are and what you are. Relax now and follow the flow of sound vibrational energy, which will help you remember. So, again, this tape explores sleep, but something very interesting happens here. So he's telling us you need to remember how you fall asleep. Again, he's talked to us through all these other techniques, but now he's saying, dig deep inside and remember exactly how it is that you fall asleep, right? And he says, now relax and follow the flow and the sound of vibrational energy. And so the sound that you're going to hear here, and again, he uses sounds like waves, right? They're very symbolic, and they help, they really help get you into that relaxed state of being, along with the vibrato, the tones that are played in each ear. So now he uses the sound of a spaceship, and you hear it taking off because of the headphones. You hear it taking off in the bottom left-hand corner, and it takes off, and it flies off to the right, off into the distance. And it almost feels like you are in that spaceship with it. And with that, you get this increased sense of awareness. He says, now think of how nice it would be to float away, how nice it would be, how pleasant and calm and serene. Now turn slowly as if you were a log floating in water. Roll over slowly. Now detached easily. Let yourself float up slowly, up and away. Calm, pleasant, and serene, floating upward. Now feel and remember how you are. Remember the calming and serene feel. Remember how you are. And then he says, now float down again, down in the direction from which you came. So now he's really, for the very first time, we are going to, again, our physical body will be laying there flat. We're not going to be moving. Our physical body is already in that deep sleep state. The temporary paralysis chemicals that are created in our body when we sleep, they've already been produced. Our body is deep asleep, but our mind is wide awake. And now one of the things that we're going to do is to expand our awareness, the creation of our second state body for the very first time. We're going to kind of act like we're rolling over. So you're going to, it's a lot like when your leg is asleep or your arm falls asleep from loss of circulation. Your leg might be just there, you can't move it, and you're thinking in your mind, move, leg, move. You know, you're trying to move it, but it's not doing anything. It's that same process. And now you're going to be wiggling yourself out by turning over. You're going to think of your physical body turning. Again, the physical isn't going to move, but your spirit body is. And as it does, it starts to work its way out of the shell. This is the very first time that our spirit body begins to manifest and bloom outside of the physical. And it's an amazing feeling. He says, now move into your normal, natural, restful sleep as I count from 11 to 20. When I reach the count of 20, you will be in total, complete, normal, natural, restful sleep. And so as he counts to 20, again, we've kind of bloomed outside. Our spirit body has for the first time bloomed out. And now as he counts to 20, it feels like we are being pulled upwards, like our spirit body, our awareness is being pulled upwards through the top of our head. It's an amazing feeling. You almost get butterflies in your stomach, and it leads us towards the end of the tape where we just are allowed to fall to sleep. There is no wake-up process at the end of this. And it says here, at any time from this moment on, whenever you desire normal, natural, restful sleep, All you have to do is count slowly in your mind from 1 to 20. When you reach the count of 20, you will be in normal, natural, restful sleep. So again, basically counting sheep is what we're doing. And this technique, we're learning it as we listen to the tapes. We're practicing it through the tapes, and then later on when it's time to take a nap or time to go to sleep, if you're having a hard time, again, close your eyes, take those deep breaths, count from 1 to 20, and it's going to help you fall asleep. Tape 6, Free Flow 10. This is the exercise for your own development process designed by you. Okay, so all of the other tapes thus far in Wave 1, Dr. Monroe has been teaching us step by step the preparatory process, all of these different tools that we're going to use as we go through the gateway experience. But now he's saying in tape 6, Free Flow 10, that we can come with our own purpose. Why are we listening to this tape? He's going to give us time to explore the state of being in Focus 10, and explore our own purposes. Address some of our own issues, maybe manifest things that we want to think about, visualizing ourselves achieving and having those things be completed. He says, remember the purpose, your purpose for this exercise, and begin your preparation process now. He says, now in Focus 10, perform the process you have designed and created. Perform the process and achieve it now. So again, you're going to come into this tape with whatever your own purpose is. And it could be a myriad of things, right? You have a project that you want to accomplish. You're going to think about it, visualize it, visualizing it being completed during listening to this tape. Or if there are emotional things that you want to address, you're going to do that in this state of mind instead of out here in the conscious state of being, where we have to deal with the 5 senses of our body, where we have to deal not only with the emotion that we are trying to figure out, but we also are dealing with feeling tired, feeling hungry, being stressed out about the issues in our life, paying the bills, going to work, family, friends, whatever it might be. Those things cloud our judgment when we try to address issues. So when we're in this state of mind, this Focus 10, we've already put our issues in the energy conversion box, we've turned our back on them, and now we're able to think clearly about these things. And that's what we do in Free Flow 10, right? Whatever our purpose is. And then again, at the end, he says, it's time to wake up to your full physical waking consciousness. Do it now. All right, folks, in Wave 2, we start with tape number 1, Introduction to Focus 12. And Dr. Monroe starts this tape off by saying, well, now that you are indeed on the threshold of a wave of change, it seems like a good idea to bring up a few points of interest, of knowns instead of beliefs or hopes. First of all, these exercises are only tools for you to learn and use. As such, they do not create change in you. Only you can change you. With these tools, you can effect many changes, all under your control. What changes you make are up to you, entirely your own decision, and no one else. No one is as capable as you in making decisions that deeply affect you, because no one, absolutely no one, knows you better than you. This is a beautiful paragraph. It's great to go back and hear this over and over again, read it over and over again. These are the tools, what we're doing here through the Gateway Experience tapes. I've said it before. There is no manifestation of change without imagination. You have to first imagine yourself being able to change. And sometimes in order to even be in a state of mind to be able to have an imagination and imagine things going better in your life, you have to get into a different state of mind. And again, that's why we go through the preparatory process. We're setting aside all of those mental and emotional issues into our energy conversion box. And then as we go through the next few steps in the preparatory process, we're allowing our body to fall into a deep sleep. So we're no longer worried about our 5 physical senses. And now we are free to think clearly, maybe for the first time in our lives. Then we can imagine the change in our lives that we want. We can allow that imagination, that vision of what we want in our lives to manifest, again, just in our mind at first. But again, there is no manifestation without the work. It's why the clothing line that I have created is called Victory Work Apparel. We will achieve victory through the work. Again, you can't make any change without putting in the work. And the beautiful part of that paragraph is that he's telling us the change in our life, it comes from us. No one else outside of us knows better than we do of what's best for us. Have some confidence. Have faith in yourself. Go through this work. Go through these steps. Get into this mindset and put all of the comparisons and all of the stressors that other people put on you about who they think you should be and what they think you should do. You put those all aside for a few moments and you get to the inner core of who you truly are. And again, you find your real purpose. You find what you need to focus on in your life. So to start this tape, he says, move into your preparatory process. And now from Focus 10, you are going to learn to move into a state of conscious awareness. The state is called Focus 12. Focus 12, where your consciousness has moved far beyond the limits of your physical body. Far beyond this, limits of physical awareness, where you can perceive and understand in ways far beyond the limitations of physical matter. To reach Focus 12, all you need to do is count slowly in your mind from 10 to 12. And when you reach the count of 12, you will be in Focus 12. Your awareness is expanded far beyond the limits of the physical body, far beyond the limits of physical matter. He says your awareness is expanding far beyond the limits of the physical body, reaching outwards. Your consciousness and perceptions are reaching far beyond the limits of your physical body and physical matter. Focus 12 is not the creation of your spirit body. We felt that. We got the very first taste of it in tape 1-5, that sleep exploration. We started to feel our spirit body bloom out of the shell of our physical body. But here, when we get into Focus 12, it's not the spirit body that's created, it's the awareness. Our awareness and perception, our thought is moved from outside of our physical mind. Our thought process is moved outside of us. I kind of describe this as almost a feeling of like static electricity flowing from out of the physical body, like a white light shooting out of it. That is our perception. That is our focus. And we're able to consciously think outside of the physical mind. And again, it's a lot like when you're doing chores, you're sitting there doing the dishes or whatever it is, and you're not focusing on the physical act that you're actually doing, but your mind is wandering. It's up here. It's thinking about all kinds of other things. That's what it feels like. It feels like you were thinking outside of your physical body. And again, it's an amazing feeling, okay? He says, you are now in Focus 12, the state of expanded awareness, of awareness far beyond the limits of the physical body. And then he has us move back into Focus 10. So he counts us down from 12 to 10. And just those two numbers, counting down from 12 back into focus 10, it really is a major change. It feels so much different. Again, that focus 12, you are expanded outwards. The physical body, you're not even really recognizing it anymore. Your thought is outside of your head. And then he moves us back into focus 10, again, where we are back in our mind. Our body is deep asleep. We're recognizing that we're still in our body. And he does this several times, walking us back into focus 12 and then back down to focus 10. We do this several times for practice, right? And then he goes through our mantras and then he wakes us up. He says, do it now. Tape 2, problem solving. So again, now we're going to use some more tools. So we're going to learn more tools that we can use when we are in the state of mind. It says, move now to your preparatory process. Now move to focus 12 by the method you had learned. So we're moving beyond focus 10 for this tape. We're going to be in focus 12 as we do our problem solving. He says, now in focus 12, take the question or problem you have brought with you. Take it and cast it out into your total awareness and wait for the best answer or solution to come back to you clearly and distinctly. Okay, so again, we get into focus 12, that expanded state of awareness. Our thought process is beyond our physical body. It's floating out here. It's that static electricity shooting out. And we're thinking on this different level. And when we come into this tape, we bring with us the question or problem that we are trying to solve, whatever that might be. That's the beauty of this. Emotional issues, again, all of this is part of self-help, but it can also be, if you are working on some type of project and you just can't find the answer for whatever the next step may be. This is a great way to look at it because, again, if you are working on like a science project or an art project or something and you just can't figure out how to get to that next step, when you are in your conscious state and you're working on it, again, if it's woodworking, right? You're having problems getting to the next state, but at that point you're tired, you're covered in dust, and you just can't think, right? You just, maybe you're frustrated again. When we get into that state of focus 12, the expanded awareness, we aren't worried about any of those things. We don't have any of those 5 physical senses to worry about. All of our issues and emotional issues, they are in the energy conversion box. And so now we're able to look at that project again very clearly in a clear state of mind where our mind isn't distracted by all of those other outside forces. And then he says, send that question out into the awareness. Again, it's this outward projection of your awareness and your thought process. And that's where you're going to cast that problem out into, that question. Send it out. And then you just calmly, quietly, with a clear state of mind, allow the answer to come to you. Now, is this answer coming from some spaceship that's flying by or some angel spirit that's out there? No. This answer is coming from inside of you. You've already have the answer. You know it's in there, but it's trapped, right? These things, these answers to what we truly need to be doing are often, again, trapped inside of us, but they're under layers and layers of exhaustion and hunger and frustration and sadness and anger, whatever things that you're dealing with in life, those usually take priority. Those are kind of our survival feelings, right? And so we strip all of those things away when we get into focus 12. And he says, now repeat this again for clarity and verification. He says, you will consciously remember the answer and the solution that you received. So when you wake up, you're going to have that answer. You're going to say, oh, here's what I needed to do. This was the next step that I needed. And then he says here, another conscious tool. So at any point in the future, when you are physically wide awake and desire the best answer to a question, all you need to do is inhale deeply, pulling fresh energy into your physical head, and hold your breath. Think of the number 12 and then the question or problem. And when you do this and you exhale your breath, you will consciously know the best answer to the question or problem you have presented. So again, this is a conscious tool. You're consciously wide awake, going throughout your day. You're in that situation where you're tired, you're hungry, you're frustrated, you're exhausted. You're having pressure from outside forces, the boss, the customer, whoever it is. They're putting that pressure on you, and you just can't figure out the next step. Even in your conscious day, you're just going to take a minute. You're going to stop what you're doing. You're going to take that deep breath, and you think of the number 12. And what this process does, again, it's just a distraction. It distracts us from all those 5 physical senses, all the emotions and worries, and it allows us to think clearly, even just for a moment. That moment of clarity, you've heard that phrase before. You have a moment of clarity, and the answer comes to you. And then at the end of the tape, return to your full physical waking conscious. Do it now. Tape number 3, 1 month patterning. A very powerful tape, okay? Before you go into this tape, you want to think about the things that you want to accomplish throughout the next month. Do not go into this tape, 1 month patterning, and just allow your mind to wander, because then that's what your month is going to turn into. It says move into your preparatory process, move to focus 12 by the method you have learned, and now you will start to establish and create, establish the creation of new patterns in your total being. Remember, you will think of the pattern as completed, as an active reality of your total self. As your total self doing and being exactly as you desire, I will guide you through this new method. So the first pattern that he's going to have us think of is our physical body. Think of the pattern you would like for your physical body to be. Build it. Make it stronger and stronger, more and more. Now release this pattern and let it flow out. This pattern of your physical body, your new physical body, let it flow out strongly, surely, and beautifully out into all parts of your expanded awareness, into all parts and all ways. Now the pattern is gone. It's gone from your center of consciousness. It has moved out to all of those areas of your expanded awareness. Okay? So again, the first thing that he's going to have us do is think about, what do we want to physically be like 1 month from now? And as you know, if you're following along here, I am right at the end of the 1 month patterning. We listened to this tape a few episodes ago, and now I'm here towards the end. Physically, I have made massive gains over this month. And for an old guy, my massive gains might be very different than yours, right? But I exercised almost every day. I've been stretching, got plenty of sleep, a lot of sunshine, been drinking tons of water, eating good food. I have, really transformed some of the fat that I was storing up from the winter. I've turned that into muscle. I physically feel like I can move more. My joints are moving better. My muscles are stretched and growing. And again, none of these patterns that you are visualizing, none of them are going to happen without the work. So again, the old folks out there in the crowd, remember, if you are visualizing yourself being healthier and more muscle and things like that, you are going to have to put in the work, and you're going to have a lot of sore days, just like I did this month, okay? So the next, and again, you visualize this. You visualize your physical body being stronger, and you release it, just like we did with our question in the last problem-solving tape. Now we're going to visualize our physical body being stronger, using our imagination, And we're going to send that pattern of our bodies being strong and healthier. And we're going to send that out into the awareness. Because again, we're in focus 12, that expanded state of awareness. We are thinking outside of our physical body. And we're just going to throw it out there into the universe is what it feels like. But again, as above, so below. We are throwing these thoughts out as far as we can. But when we do that, they're actually, getting deeper inwards at the same time, okay? So next, you're going to form your pattern for your mental self, then your emotional self. So you're going to do the same thing. Think about emotionally and mentally what you would like to be with or be like at the end of the month. More emotionally stable, more mentally stable, right? Here in the Mind War Studios, I'm on a very good schedule. Emotionally, mentally, things are clicking right along. We're on schedule. We're doing great. He says, now form the pattern in the center of consciousness of your greater self. So now we're going to think about our greater self, what it means to be more than just our physical, mental, and emotional. Our whole being. What do we want that to be? Our greater self. And we allow that to flow out into our awareness. He says, now create the pattern in your mind and deep in the center of your consciousness as to where you desire to be. Where do you want to be 1 month from now? For me, it was right here in the Mind War Studios, exactly like you're seeing at this moment. Next, he says, now create in the pattern of what you desire to do. And then the next one is what you desire to achieve. So again, what I wanted to do and what I wanted to achieve this month was the completion of Mind War Season 3. This being the season finale, this is it. This is the successful accomplishment of 1 month patterning. You're seeing it happen right here, right now on your screen. And you might think, Victor, that's not a big deal. You didn't change your life, all kinds of... That wasn't my goal. That wasn't my purpose going into this tape. My goal was to kind of move in and get ready for summer, to be physically more fit for summer, right? There's going to be a lot of things to do this summer. And I just wanted to start feeling better, kind of getting out of that hibernation mode of the winter. And I wanted to, most importantly, finish these episodes for you, right? I wanted to make sure I was coming down here every week and completing each episode in Mind War Season 3. And that's exactly what we did. He says, now return to full physical waking consciousness. Do it now. Tape number 4, color breathing. So now we move into kind of a little bit of esoteric, right? He says, move now into focus 10 by the method you have learned. So again, in tape 4, color breathing, we are not going into focus 12. We are not going into that expanded state of awareness. We are staying in focus 10, the sleep dojo, okay? He says, now in focus 10, here is a simple way to reduce emotional pressure throughout your total system. Whenever you consciously desire to reduce within yourself any emotional charge down to the point where it no longer is harmful or important, all you need to do is close your eyes, inhale deeply with your physical lungs, hold your breath for a moment, and think of the calming, cleansing energy of green. When you do this, and then exhale your breath slowly, calmly, cleansing green energy will slowly and surely push all excess and harmful emotional charges down through your physical body and out through the soles of your feet, leaving your entire system, your entire self, calm and confident, strong and serene. So, what we're doing now is we are equating when we have emotional issues, when our emotions are riling up, we're going to take that deep breath. Again, this is a conscious tool that we can use in our wide awake state of being. If you're emotionally charged up, you take that deep breath, you inhale, you hold it in your mind, you think of the calming, cleansing color green, and as you exhale, you're going to allow that green to flow down your body and push all of those excess emotions out of you. Again, it's just that distraction technique, taking a deep breath, reminding yourself to stay calm, and allowing all of that tension to flow out of your body. Okay? So next he says, here's a special way to charge your body for an act of great speed and strength, all with smooth coordination. When you have a physical act that you want to be performed, think of the strong energy of red. So again, if you're about to do something physical, you're going to take a deep breath. Imagine yourself completing this physical task that you have to do, whether it's some type of sport or you're just doing some yard work or something, or if you're exercising, right? If you're training, you're going to visualize yourself doing it very strongly with perfect, smooth coordination. While you're holding your breath, you're thinking of the color red, and then as you exhale, you then go and perform that. It's the same thing that we hear major sports athletes talk about all the time, this visualization, repeating the visualization in their mind, and then going and doing the physical activity over and over. Again, it's all about practice. But you got to put in the work, folks. So the next part, he says, at any point in your life from this moment forward, whenever you need to bring any part of your physical body into a normal, healthy, balanced condition, all you consciously need to do is close your eyes, inhale deeply, and hold your breath for a moment. During that moment, think of the healing, cooling energy of purple. Look with your closed eyes at the part of your physical body that requires help and send the flow of purple energy to that part of your body, saying in your mind, heal, balance, then exhale and open your eyes. So again, if you have a physical condition, you have pain somewhere and you want to relieve that pain, you're going to take a moment. You're going to stop. You're going to take a deep breath. You're going to inhale, hold it in your mind for a minute and think of the color purple, the healing color of purple. And when you exhale, you're going to send that purple energy to wherever the pain is, whatever the physical ailment that you're trying to correct, wherever that is in your body, you're going to send that purple healing energy there. And for me, when I've done that, I often find that if I am in pain, it's usually just a muscle tension that's going on, right? And you can release that tension, and it does cause pain relief, even just momentarily. But again, whatever it takes to get us to that next moment so we can move forward with real healing and growth. Because ultimately, what we're doing here in these tapes is healing the mind, body, and spirit, right, folks? And so that was color breathing. And then at the end of that tape, he says, of course, 1, wake up, you're wide awake. Okay. Now, tape 5, energy toolbar. This is interesting. Again, we are now crossing over into occultism a little bit. We're starting to actually create some tools using our imagination. He says, now it's time to add a very significant new tool into your wave of change. Move now into your preparatory process. Again, we're just going into focus 10. We're in the sleep dojo, and he says, now you're ready to construct your first energy tool. Visualize a spot of light, a small spot of light, and now take this spot of light and stretch it out. Make this white line into a bar. And now with the bar of energy under control, you're going to make the bar change color. So again, we're in the sleep dojo. We visualize a spot of white light in front of us. We grab it with our spirit hands and we pull that spot of light. We pull it long ways, so now it is a line. We turn that line from a 2-dimensional into a 3-dimensional bar. So we have an energy tool bar, a bar of white sparkling light in front of us. And now we're going to start to control it. And so we change it into the color orange. We visualize it changing to the color orange, and then we change it back to white. We do the same thing for the color yellow, green, blue, and red. And again, these are just tools of visualization. We are working with our imagination, allowing ourselves to imagine these things in the sleep dojo, the upside down world of Stranger Things. As you're in this blackness, you are looking in front of you and you are seeing these objects in three-dimensional reality, right? He says you're going to make your energy toolbar go from black and then white, on and off. So now we are turning our energy toolbar on and off, ones and zeros, black and white, right? He says now we're going to allow it to expand and contract. So it's turning on and off. It's turning on and off so quickly we don't even recognize the off position anymore. Now it's expanding and contracting, and that begins to happen so fast that we don't even recognize it. It stays in one shape, but it's moving. It's transforming constantly, but it looks static as we see it, right? And then, so again, the goal of that is visualization, imagination, and then controlling these tools that we've created. And he says, now that you've created your energy toolbar, it will continue to exist whenever you desire to use it. Now release the bar and let it float untouched. It will remain here, available, ready, whenever you desire to use it again. So again, you have your energy toolbar in front of you, and you allow it to float away. And basically, you're storing it for later. And when you need to use it in a future tape, you'll simply recall it and it'll be there for you, right? And so again, the energy toolbar, the reason that I say that it's now kind of breaching the occultism side of things is because your energy toolbar is your magic wand. And in future seasons of Mind War, we're going to learn how to use your magic wand. And when we get back, folks, we are going to take a look at the final tape in Wave 2 Threshold, Living Body Map. For me, personally, one of the most important tapes in the series. And we're going to talk about that story after a word from our sponsor. Mind War is sponsored by Victory Work Apparel. Use promo code Mind War. Welcome back, folks. So now we are going to go through Wave 2 Threshold, Tape 6, Living Body Map. Dr. Monroe says, let's get started on another tool to increase this wave of change for you. Now move to your preparatory process. So again, we are only going to go into Focus 10 for this tape. And he says, now I will guide you in the construction of another energy tool. This one is called your Living Body Map, a tool that you will be able to directly control the vital energies of your physical body. He says, first, think in your mind or visualize the outline of your physical body in bright white light. So I did this tape earlier today. Again, I didn't use the enhancements of THC and psilocybin today, and I was kind of tired, so it was difficult to really stay focused. At one point in the tape, I started to drift off into dreamland, and I actually must have been dreaming that I was going upstairs and I stubbed my toe, and I had a hypnagogic twitch where my right foot kicked so hard that it almost woke me up out of the tape, right? But when I listened to this tape for the first time, back in 2022, I did use psilocybin, and the visualizations for this were really amazing. It was crystal clear 4K. And what we're visualizing here is, again, you're in the sleep dojo, that upside down world of stranger things. You're in the blackness. And Dr. Monroe is saying, I want you to visualize basically a silhouette of yourself standing in front of you. So you can think of a full-length mirror in front of you. And you're standing there and you're looking at yourself in the mirror, but you don't see your physical self. Instead, you just see a silhouette of yourself. And your silhouette is glowing with white light. So that's what we're going to start. That is our visualization starting point. He says, now this white outline of your physical body, the outline is bright white energy, and it represents all the factors of your physical body, all of your energy factors. Now let's create your living body map from this outline. First, change the outline to red, and let red represent circulation, the circulation of blood throughout your body, okay? So now you see your silhouette. The white outline, that white light, we turn it to red, and red represents our circulatory system. So now we're visualizing our circulatory system, right? And he says, now turn it from red and go back to white. And now he says you're going to look at your living body map and you're going to turn it bright blue. And blue represents the nerve system of your physical body. And then you're going to change it back to white. He says, now change your living body map to yellow and let yellow represent the glandular system of your physical body. Yellow represents the organs in the glandular system of your physical body. And now change it back to a bright, sparkling white. He says, now change your white living body map into a bright orange and let orange represent the muscle and bone structure of your physical body. Now move it back to white and recognize and understand that the bright, sparkling white represents a composite, the total energies of your physical body. So as we change the colors of our living body map, they each represented a different system of the body. But when we visualize the white light, it is our body as a whole, all of the systems working together. He says, now take your bright new white living body map and place it over your physical body. As you do, notice any parts that are dim or flickering, okay? So now we're going to kind of visualize our physical body manifest, and in front of it, we're going to see our living body map glowing bright white. In any parts of our body where that light seems to be flickering or dim, we're going to focus on that. And now, we're going to turn now and reach for our energy toolbar. That's right, folks. I told you, we're going to be using the energy toolbar, our magic wand, throughout future episodes and future seasons of Mind War. And that's what we're doing now. So now we're going to recall our energy toolbar, our magic wand, and we're going to be holding it in our hands. He says, your energy toolbar that you've created, and charge it. We're going to charge it bright white light. So you're going to charge it with your energy. You're going to focus on your energy toolbar getting brighter and more brilliant white light. Now that your energy toolbar is close to you, turn to the living body map, and wherever you see the part of your living body map that is dim or flickering, so again, any part where you see a dim, flickering light, you're going to let the bright, purple healing energy flow from your energy toolbar to those parts that are dark, dim, and flickering. So again, you're going to be visualizing in front of you as if it's a full body mirror. Your silhouette, it's going to be glowing white. In any parts of your body where you see that light flickering, you're going to take your energy toolbar, aka your magic wand. You're going to turn it to the healing color purple, and you're going to wave it over those dim and flickering areas. Now, with your energy toolbar still close to you, start at the top of your living body map, at the head, and wash and bathe it with purple, bright purple energy. Let it flow from the energy toolbar into the map to the top, and let it bathe down slowly from your head down to your feet, washing out all of the impurities and giving bright new energy to all parts of your living body map. So once you've dealt with the flickering and dim lights, you start from the top of your living body map with your purple energy toolbar, your bright purple healing magic wand, and you are going to allow that purple healing energy to flow over your entire body. He says, now with your energy toolbar still close to you, let your living body map turn bright red and read, and read the circulation of the physical body, and look and perceive what any parts are dark, dim, or flickering. Now with your energy toolbar, let that bright purple charging energy move to those parts that are dim and flickering. Do this now. So again, we're going to turn the living body map red for our circulatory system. Any parts that are dim and flickering, we're going to heal them with our purple healing energy toolbar, our magic wand. We're going to do the same thing with blue that represents our nervous system, yellow that represents the organ and glandular system. We're going to do it for the orange, the color orange that represents muscle, bone, and the bone structures of your physical body. So you're going to do that with each color, each of the different systems of the body. Now let your living body map change back to the white energy, the energy that represents the total of your physical body. Okay? So now we have healed those flickering and dim parts of our energy, of the energy that is radiating off of our living body map, and now we're turning it back into white. And he says, now look deep behind your living body map, deep behind it, and you will notice a second map, a map of your emotional body, finer and thinner, but there it is, just behind your physical living body map. Observe it, and wherever you see any of your emotional body that is dark, dim, or flickering, use your energy toolbar with its purple, healing, cleansing energy and brighten those parts that seem dim or flickering on your emotional body. So again, now instead of just visualizing your physical body map, you're going to look behind it, just beyond it. There is a thinner version of the map, and it's your emotional being. And anywhere that the light is flickering or dim, you're going to again heal it with a bright, brilliant, healing purple color from your energy toolbar or your magic wand. Now that you have cleansed, healed, and recharged both your emotional and physical living body map, turn away from both. So now we turn our back on them. Turn away and place your energy toolbar where you can find it again. Release it, let it float free. Float free to where you can find it again easily. Now you are stronger, both emotionally and physically. You're brighter and cleaner and clearer. Your mental is much brighter now and has cleansed your physical body, and you have equalized and balanced your emotional body. And he says, you will return now to full physical waking reality by the method you have learned, simply by saying the number 1 in your mind. So we go through, we visualize our physical body radiating with light. Each different color represents a different system of our body. And anywhere that we see light that is dim or flickering, we heal it with our energy toolbar, the magic wand that we turn into that healing color of purple. And now, here's why, for me personally, this is one of the most important tapes of the series. In October of 2021, I found myself to be in a pretty rough state. I have a medical condition. It's a chronic condition that causes ulcers inside my digestive system. I've had it for over 20 years. It causes internal bleeding. It's extremely painful when I'm having what they call flare-ups, right? It causes physical pain in my abdomen. One of the wonderful side effects of it is it causes joint pain as well. There are days when it hurts so bad it feels like I can't even get out of bed. This also causes issues with eating. Sometimes it's so painful I don't even want to eat. And I've been suffering with and really playing through this disease for over 20 plus years. This first occurred in my young 20s. And during my 20s and 30s, I had work to do and a family to raise. I had other things to focus on, and my health always took a back seat. And so, again, in October of 2021, after I had semi-retired from my professional career, my family, my children had gone off to university and they were living their life, and I found myself at a place where I'm like, I'm going to move back home. That's where I am now. And take some time to kind of get to know myself and figure out what the next phase of my life is. And I tried several different things, but I realized nothing could move forward until I started to heal my disease, my chronic health issue. And so in October of 2021, after trying several different medications throughout the 20 years, I called my doctor at the VA, the Veterans Administration. They are an amazing group of people, an amazing organization. And I called and talked to my doctor, who I had talked to countless times before, but this time I had tears in my eyes and anger in my voice. And I said, Doc, I can't do this anymore. I can't continue to ignore this illness. I have to find some type of solution. And he said, okay, I hear you. He said, I didn't quite understand it was that bad. And I told him, of course not. I was covering it up because I had other things to do. But now I realize if I'm going to move into the, hopefully second half of my life as a healthy man, I need to be able to deal with this. So he said, we have other options for you. We have other medication, but it's very expensive. And it takes some time to actually go through and get all the blood tests that need to be done and work through a lot of paperwork and a lot of bureaucracy. There had to be several layers of people who signed off on this to get the approval for me to get prescribed, some type of solution, right? So again, that phone call was in October of 2021. So for the rest of that year, the next few months, I began to prepare for the spiritual journey that I'm on now. And I did that by gathering the Gateway Experience tapes and all of the things like the headphones and, eye covers and things like that I would need. I procured and grew psilocybin and THC and got all of those things prepared, as well as started to gather the required materials for my spiritual practices, which we'll talk about in future seasons. So on January 1st of 2022, I started listening to the Gateway Experience tape for the first time. And over the next 90 days, I was listening to the tapes on an almost daily basis. I was using the enhancements of THC and psilocybin almost every time. And for those first 90 days, I only made it through wave 1 and wave 2. I was listening to these initial tapes over and over and over again. I wanted to get this right, and I knew that practice and repetition is what was needed, right? And so at this point, I had been to the doctor so many times. We had multiple phone calls over this, 6-month period now. And there was just no word that any changes had occurred. I didn't have any idea if our requests had been made, or if anyone was agreeing with them and verifying them and saying, yes, let's move forward with some type of new solution to help this man heal. And in March of 2022, I believe it was towards the end of March, I listened to Wave 2, Tape 6, Living Body Map for the very first time. Again, it was on a dose of psilocybin, so the visualization was crystal clear 4K. And I visualized my living body map, and I saw the area of my body and my abdomen where my chronic illness, where it resides and where it causes trouble. And I took my energy toolbar in that healing color of purple, and I waved it over that part of my body. I waved it over my abdomen where the pain is emanating from. And I healed myself. And 3 days after listening to that tape, now I didn't get any emails, I didn't get any phone calls, but 3 days later, in my mailbox was delivered my new medication. So for over 20 years of living and suffering with this chronic disease, and after 6 months prior, I called my doctor for help. But it wasn't until I listened to this tape, the Living Body Map, and healed myself with my energy toolbar in the healing color of purple. It wasn't until then that I received my new medication. And for the first time in over 20 years, the symptoms of my chronic illness have subsided. And to be honest, over the last 4 months, I've felt better than I have. I actually got a new version of that medication, just a small change, and it's even better than the last one. I am not healed. This chronic illness will probably be with me for the rest of my life. But now I can live more of a normal life. I feel healed in so many ways. And it was just amazing. It was amazing that 3 days after healing myself in this state of mind, in the sleep dojo, doing the work, it manifested into reality. Now again, none of this would have been possible if I wouldn't have called my doctor 6 months earlier. But the question is it just a coincidence? My guess is this medication was going to show up at my house on that day, whether I had listened to this tape or not. Okay? But personally, it meant the world to me that when I listened to this tape and healed myself spiritually, I was able to then heal myself physically. And I made a post about it on Instagram. Again, follow me on Instagram at the Occult Technician. And this is what I said about receiving this medication. Life-saving science plus soul-saving spirituality. The combination of administering my medication alongside my crafting has added a level of spiritualism that has given a supernatural element to my healthcare. This takes my healthcare routine from a somewhat harsh, sterile, institutional reminder of pain and sickness and it transforms it to a more welcoming and personal solemnity that promotes healing and growth. The life-saving science that came about because of the work that I put in, combined with the spiritual aspects of the gateway experience, because yes, these are scientific ways to learn magic. This is scientific ways to experience your spirituality. When I combine those two things together, it gave my healthcare a deeper meaning. It took it away from, like I said here, just a routine of harsh, sterile, and institutional reminders of pain and sickness. Because without the spiritual side of it, that's really what this would be. Every 2 weeks, receiving the medication, administering it, dealing with the side effects for the day after I administer it, and the pain of the injection and things like that. It could be very harsh, very sterile, and it could just become just another chore to do. But instead, it has become a welcoming and personal solemnity, which basically means a type of spiritual practice, a combination of adding spiritualism to your real life. And this solemnity promotes healing and growth. Okay? So, many people have asked, what are the realities of the gateway experience? What can we really expect to happen? Again, it might just be a coincidence that I listened to this tape and 3 days later this medication arrived. But folks, as we go through future seasons of Mind War, that 3 days pops up over and over and over again. From the outside, you may simply see it as a coincidence, but to me, it is so much more. And when these things start to occur in your life, they're going to mean so much more than just a coincidence. That's why we do this work, folks. That's why we worked so hard on season 3 of the Mind War podcast. Our first season, where we worked through the Gateway Experience tapes, we did Wave 1 Discovery and Wave 2 Threshold. We worked through the book Journeys Out of the Body. And in season 4, we're going to go through Wave 3 and Wave 4. We're going to work through Dr. Monroe's books. I believe it's Far Journey is the one that we're going to be doing next. You're going to see links to that in the description of this video. And we're going to continue on. It's going to continue to be an active process. You're going to be right there with us every week, listening to a new tape, taking notes, and describing our experiences, right? I'm really proud of you for being here. This was a lot of work. This season was far more complicated and much more work than any of the past seasons that I've done. But it was, it's very meaningful. I'm very proud of us for accomplishing this. And I really appreciate you being here for it. And I appreciate you being here for future seasons of Mind War and as we go through the Gateway Experience tapes. So remember, folks, thank you for being here. And as always, harden your hearts and open your minds, because this is Mind War.